All right, here we go. Live dashboard, go live. I think maybe we're almost there. Let's see. It says we're live. We're officially live.
We're officially live.
We are officially live on YouTube. Let me make sure the sound is turned off here so that I don't have any feedback issues like we've had in the past. There, we've got this window. I've got multiple windows. You know that experience of having like too many tabs open in your life at once?
That's the story of my life. Yeah.
All the tabs open right now. But we've got everybody here. We've got Shauna's here, Stephen here, Paul, lots of friendly faces here in the house today. And I'm sure probably most of you are already familiar with my very special guest here today, Fanette. How are you today? Is it still morning where you are?
11 a.m. Yeah, I guess it's still morning.
Okay, good. Yeah, so 8 a.m. here. You're on the East Coast. And for everybody at home, where are you right now, Fanette?
Virginia, 40 minutes from Washington, D.C.
Perfect. So East Coasters in the house today. So we'll give it just another minute or two. Let everybody start strolling in from the live stream. Make sure I've got my notes and I'm well organized today so that we can make the most of our time together. And for Fanette's sake, I'll try to stick to the script. Sometimes I sort of veer off the game plan. We have a bonjour from Paris.
Oh, nice.
So you've got some French friends in the house because Fanette, you are originally from France, correct?
I am, and I'm actually going home in 10 days. I'm very excited. So
wonderful.
The last push before the big vacation. So
that's wonderful. What part of France are you originally from?
I was born in the east of France, by the border with Switzerland. But I went to Paris when I was 6 and we moved there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, for those of you from France, you've got a friendly connection here today. Jessica, hello from Jersey. Taylor from Virginia. She's in Roanoke. Is that close to where you are, Fanette?
Not that far, yeah.
Not too bad. Good. Stay for a bite from Latvia. This is my favorite part of YouTube is that we've got people from all over the globe, and same thing with Instagram. But it looks like we've got a good crowd here in the house today. So before I introduce our special guest, I wanted to give a bit of an introduction. I think I came across Fanette, who is the owner and photographer behind French Leaf Photography. You can definitely follow her over on Instagram. I believe I've got all of her information linked down in the description box below, but I believe it was Instagram, and it was specifically because you were being mentored by Rachel from Two Love Studio. And that's how I first came across you. And I thought, oh, wow, this gal has got some really cool things going on, offering up some really neat education. And so, you know me, I'm always so supportive of people who are spreading the knowledge, sharing what they know. And so you do a really great job of that over on your Instagram as well as your blog. And so I'm super excited to have her here today. Fanette is an incredible food photographer, also product photographer, which is it's just something I dabble in sometimes, but I think you do especially well. And so I'm excited to get to talk to you today specifically about your work in the world of UpWork and how you find clients, because you've had a lot of success there. But before we jump into all that, I want to give the opportunity. And for those of you who are here with us live, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We will be sure to save some adequate time at the end for Q&A. So be sure to save your questions. I'm not going to be paying too much attention to the comments area right now, so I'm going to pay more attention to Fanette. But after we finish, we'll be sure to do some Q&A. But with all that said, I always love a good origin story. You know, we always love to know, where did this person come from? And especially in such a really strange niche as we found ourselves of food photography, it's really fun to hear how you got to where you are. So if you could just kind of take us back, trip down memory lane, where did this all start and how did you end up here?
Well, I hope you have time because it's not a short story because I did a lot of things before I ended up being a product and food photographer. As you mentioned before, and if you haven't guessed by my accent, I'm French. I was born in France, and I lived there until I was 27. I was an executive assistant in a large business bank. which was fun for a while. But after a while, I figured that this was not what I wanted to be doing for the rest of my life. So I decided to take a round the world trip, and I left for 1 year in 2004. And that 1 year turned into so many more because I haven't been back since.
Wow. Trip around the world. That's an ambitious game plan.
Yeah, but the thing is, I actually didn't go around the world because I found a small island in Thailand that was a diving island. And I was already a diver, but there was a way to work and live there for a little bit. So that's what I did. And that's where I met my husband. And I was supposed to stay there for a few weeks, and we stayed 7 years.
What? 7 years in Thailand.
7
wow.
years in Thailand, yeah. We were working as scuba divers, and we were managing a dive shop. And so that was a really fun time. And that's how I came about to meeting my husband and all that. And then one day he turned 40, and we realized that we had no savings, no retirement plan, nothing. And we thought, maybe we should do something else.
Yeah.
So we decided to move back to the US. Well, back for him and moved to the US for me. And when I got here, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew that I didn't want to be an executive assistant anymore. And obviously I couldn't be a scuba diver anymore. So,
it's quite a resume at that point.
It's already like 3 lives ago. So I dabbled in some things for a little bit, and then I started working for a friend of ours who was running a online retail. He was selling cosmetic bags online, and he was making the cosmetic bags, and then he was selling them online, and he needed some help with some marketing and stuff like that. So I started helping him.
Cool.
And he was a graphic designer, so he taught me how to do graphic design and web design. And I did a lot of that for him while I was doing that. And then one day he said, you've been carrying your camera around the globe for the last 10 years. Do you want to try to take some pictures of our products? And I thought, well, sure, that sounds like fun. Why not?
Right. What have you got?
Exactly. I'm like, well, I'm already, learning graphic design and web design. Why not, product photography? I'll do that. So I spent 2 weeks watching like every class I could find. I spent like my weekends and evenings on Creative Live trying to figure out how to do this thing. And then I came up with that really, I think I had an old shower curtain, and I had a ping pong table that was folding. So I folded it in half, and I clipped the shower curtain to the table, and it made kind of a sweep so I could take the white background. And then I went to Vivo and I bought the cheapy lights, and that's kind of how I did my first product pictures. They were not great, but they were better than what they were doing with their iPhones, so that's
absolutely.
It started with product photography anyway.
Yeah. So, what an interesting start. But I feel like that's so many people's stories, and when people ask me, how do you get into food photography, product photography, and it is, lost my microphone. So much of it is just being willing to show up and to do stuff and figure it out on the fly. And you look back at some of that old stuff and you cringe, but at the same time, like, you kind of got to be proud of it because you took the leap, because a lot of people I think get stuck. They're like, oh, I'm not qualified to do that. And it's those moments, like you said, that you just leap forward and say, what's the worst that could happen? They turn out terrible. Okay. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
That's right. And it took me a while to. So I was doing this for a friend, so it was a little bit different, but to take it for the next level, which is like having people actually pay me for the picture, it took me a long time. For the longest time, I had those excuses. I need another light, or I need to take that one more course, or ready, my portfolio's not ready. My husband used to give me a lot of crap like that. Well, yeah, I finally did. So.
Yeah. Oh, we make all those excuses. I always think back about my journey too. I could have been working professionally so much faster had I not been talking myself out of it all along the way.
I know, and I still sometimes do that. Like there are some projects that I want to do, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I try to push myself. But yeah,
Good.
I could have started earlier, and I was scared.
Yeah. So for everybody who's out there right now who's watching this and you're like, oh, I just need to do one more thing or I need to learn one more thing. No, you don't. Just jump. Just go at it full force. Use the knowledge you have, rise to the occasion. That's where I've learned the most in my journey.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So
It was interesting.
so you're taking pictures of these products and you're getting you've got the shower curtain white sweep going on, that whole situation. So when does the jump to food happen?
So at that point, I was working for them 3 days a week. So I had 2 whole days where I could do something else. So I decided to look into platforms like Thumbtack. And Thumbtack is more with local businesses. So I did find a lot of photography jobs on there, but there was a lot of like headshots and portraits and family sessions. And I'm not too much of I don't want to have to deal with people. I like to deal with my products. They're never late, they're never grumpy. You just put them there, they stay there. And if you want to play with the lighting for half an hour, they don't care. So, yeah. I started to find more product photography. And then one day I saw a job from a local food blogger. She was looking for someone to take pictures of her pastry. Like she makes cakes and cupcakes and all that stuff.
Cool.
Because she had a full-time job and she didn't have the time to take the pictures herself. So I met with her. She delivered me like 24 cupcakes and 2 cakes, which I took home and I took pictures of those, and I just loved it. It was so much fun. Yeah.
And so that's when
I kept
food
working.
bug bit you.
I kept working with her for a long time, and then I learned, because I wanted to produce good pictures for her, I started looking into the courses on food photography, and that's kind of how I started. And I never looked back because I just really enjoyed food photography.
And now, how long ago was that? When did you start working with that food blogger?
So my son wasn't born, so that was at least 3 years ago.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, it's pretty remarkable, once you have that determination to start trying something and to start pursuing it, how quickly, because, in all, I think about my journey. I've only been working professionally, at this point, 5 years, but, and you look at any other profession, that if you really put that intentionality and that effort and you're motivated, how quickly it really can happen.
Right. Well, but when you make your own luck with this job, this is what I really like, because you have to put yourself out there. When you work in the corporate world, there's it doesn't, you're still at the mercy of your boss to, get the promotion. And when you're a food or product photographer, you make your own luck and you go after what you really want to do. So.
Absolutely. Well, and I always say too, I was talking with somebody the other day and I said, after being your own boss for a good couple years, it's a little nerve-wracking at first, but once you get a couple years in, you realize you can no longer go back to a regular job. You'd be unemployable. I'd be a total nightmare to work with if I had to have a boss.
Well, and I think I was already a total nightmare before, and that's kind of why I would never go back to that's kind of why I started the photo business, because after I got pregnant, I actually switched jobs. I stopped working for my friend and I started working as a graphic designer for a local marketing company. And after pregnancy, when I went back, they had to let me go because they hired somebody else in the meantime, and it's a whole story, but they let me go, and I had to decide between going back to a job, finding another job like this, or trying to make the food photography, product photography full time. And I'm not good with the boss. I don't do well. I'm very stubborn, and so we decided that we'd give the food photography a try, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, although it wasn't always bells and roses and all the beautiful things. There were certainly, and I'd heard a little bit about this in an email you sent the other day to your email list, was that at a certain point in your journey, you got to this point where you're like, I don't know if I can do this. And I mean, we all hit walls, but you hit a pretty serious wall where you thought, I'm ready to walk away from food photography. What was going on at that time, and what was going through your mind?
So it was after we had our son and after I was let go, and I decided to go full time. It was really tough at first because first of all, because I was way undercharging, and so I was working a ton of hours and not bringing a ton of money. So I was tired. We had an infant, so I was doubly tired.
Oh my gosh.
And when you have an infant, like, you can't imagine how expensive these little things are.
Oh,
like,
crazy.
So I was starting to, I'm pretty relaxed with money. I always think, it's going to be okay. We're going to figure it out. But even at that point, I was starting to be a little nervous. And we decided that we needed to figure out if we could make it work. So one night we sat down at the kitchen table. We took our bank account. We looked at all the expenses and, how much we needed to bring in, and his salary, which was not very high because he was just back from 10 years living on the beach. So he didn't have, the salaries that he could have had if he had stayed here the whole time. And so we kind of made the calculation and figured out, so we need this much to make it work. And we decided to give it 3 months. And the first month was, I didn't make it even close to that. So I was like, oh my God, this is never going to work. And I actually started looking at some graphic design jobs at that point, thinking, not only me anymore, there's a kid and I have to be responsible. And so, and then about that time is when I had lunch with my husband and a colleague of his who actually used to work for UpWork in the corporate office. And he said, we were talking about my business and how I was struggling. And he said, well, have you tried UpWork? And I'm like, Up what now? He said, well, it's the biggest freelancing platform in the world. I was like, really? I've never heard of them. I don't know these people. And so he told me that he used to work there, and that he told me some pretty great success stories of freelancers that made a successful business on there. And, at that point I was like, I have 2 more months to make our goal. So I decided to sign up, and that's how I got started on UpWork. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that was really sort of a new path that you saw. Okay, I'm not able to figure this out kind of on my own, just, out there trying to pitch and do all these things. Here's this really great opportunity. I'm going to really go all in. And knowing you and your personality, to the degree that I do, I know that you don't do anything halfway. Like, you are an all-in kind of personality. And so when it came to UpWork, I have to assume that's what's that?
I'm very black and white. I do everything, or I don't do anything.
Right there with you, sister. So when you approached UpWork, then you went full into it, right?
Oh my God, yes, I went all into it. And at first it was hard because when you don't know the platform and you don't have anybody to guide you, it's really tricky. And I spent hours every day answering all the job listings I could find that would be remotely interesting for me. And every night I would, create a new cover letter and proposal from scratch because I had no system, and it just spent so much time. But yeah, I did find some fun. So
yeah,
that got me to month 3.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because when you had brought up to me a couple of weeks ago that you'd been finding all the success on UpWork and that you were getting ready to launch your new and exciting ebook, which I'll be sure to share with everybody here in a moment. I was like, there's no money on UpWork. It's just a bunch of like cheapskates. And it was funny because you had mentioned it. And of course, like, I went on and I was like, do I even have an UpWork account? And sure enough, I did. I sent one up in like 2015. Oh gosh, the photos that I had uploaded to it were horrendous. And I looked at like the messages, and it was all these people trying to buy photos for like $10 a shot or something. And I'm like, and so when you said you were having all this success, I'm like, okay, the math is not working out. What is Fanette doing? So you have now since though been able to kind of unlock some secrets. Yeah.
So the thing for me, the thing with work is that you have to remember that it is the largest freelancing platform in the world. So everybody is on there. So you will find the cheap clients that want you to pay you peanuts for your photos. But there's also a lot of clients that are looking for, the professional photographers, and they want to create a long-term relationship. You just have to find those guys, and you just have to, I think, present yourself in a way that you will attract those guys and not the cheapy clients. And
absolutely.
That's what I did wrong when I started. My prices were low, and I was winging it, and I didn't have a structure. I didn't have a system. So I was not looking professional, and I was attracting the cheapy clients.
Yeah, no, it's the same whether you're in UpWork or you're anywhere. It's that approach and how you present yourself and the value you bring. So, I mean, that's really fascinating. So, okay, from the time you had that lunch and you dove in like head first into UpWork, and I mean, obviously you had a lot of learning there at the at the outset of just that learning curve. But how long would you say for you with the learning curve and everything did it take to really find some traction on UpWork?
So I would say that the first 3 months, I was not using it. Like I was really just spinning my wheels, spending hours on them. And I was still finding clients, but they were the clients that were, the cheapy clients. It all changed when I actually started working with a coach at that point. Mm-hmm. And we talked about UpWork, and she asked me how much I was charging. And she almost had a heart attack when I told her. She yelled at me several times on our calls, like,
"Oh my goodness.
I don't know if I'm worth it." She's like, "Yes, you are. You have to charge more." She was awesome. She kicked my butt up and UpWork. She was really really fun, and she really helped with that. But yeah. At that point, I started understanding that, yeah, if you price yourself low, you're gonna attract the low clients. So I started looking at raising my prices, which was making me really uncomfortable. But I realized that the more I raised my prices, I still wasn't getting any resistance, but I was getting different clients. So I started thinking about that. And then I realized at that point that I was previously a executive assistant and a graphic designer, and I could use those to, first of all, create a system that would be more efficient at what I was doing, which was creating everything from scratch every time I wanted to send a proposal, and also creating templates that would make me look like a professional. And so all this figuring out took about 6 months, I think.
Okay.
Trying to figure out my pricing and how to present myself. It was 6 months of trying to make it work. But I remember that the moment I started having a cover letter that made sense, and having a proposal that I designed to, be attractive. From one day to the next, I saw a huge difference.
Huge jump. And so, I mean, thinking of the work that now you've been doing on UpWork for all this time and successfully, what's like, as far as numbers, because people love to hear the numbers, what's been like your most lucrative job that you've found on UpWork so far?
So the most lucrative was a great job. I had to take pictures of 28 bottles of wine, which I got to keep. Thank you very much. And the job was to take the pictures of the wine on a marble surface with some ingredient cues around, which was actually really challenging because it was in November and I needed peaches and apricots and all that stuff.
Oh.
So we had to do some photoshopping for that one.
Yeah.
For that job, I got paid $7,800.
That's wonderful. And so
Yeah,
definitely proves that it's not just people willing to pay $10 for a photo on Upwork. There's actual real serious clients, and that there's been a number of them too that now you have ongoing relationships with too, right?
I have 2 retainers that I found on Upwork that bring about $4,000 every month. And I had a third one that I haven't worked with for a couple of months because they were doing a rebranding, but we're going to start working again together in October when I get back from France. Well, it's bring another 15 to 2,000. So yeah, no, for me, it's been phenomenal.
That's wonderful. And so now I think what's so beautiful about this whole story too, is that it was all of this background that you had, you know, as executive assistant being, where's the microphone? It's all that background that you had being the executive assistant and the graphic design experience, like all of these things came together to really set you up for success on Upwork, where, you know, some people might really run into roadblocks. And so as a result of that, you just released this last week. I was so excited. Got to read a copy of your brand new ebook. Can you tell everybody what's the title of it? Because I know there was some like going back and forth as to what you would title it. Too.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought about the recipe for Upwork, and then somebody said, my husband actually said, oh, it's kind of cutie, but it doesn't sound very serious. So,
branding, I tell ya.
So no, the ebook is called the Upwork Playbook: How to Create a Successful Photography Business on Upwork using the largest freelancing platform in the world.
Yes. And I had the chance to read it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, clearly with your expertise as a designer, it looks beautiful. It's very professional looking. But my favorite part about it, because sometimes you buy ebooks and you get resources and you're like, okay, that's all good and well, but I don't have action plans. That throughout the ebook, you've placed these really actionable items of here's the thing you need to do. Here's exactly what it needs to look like. Like I actually went through it and then went over to my own Upwork site, which I had abandoned in 2015. And I took all your tips and I updated it. Now, I haven't taken the next steps and everything like that, but it was so easy to follow, very actionable, very clear. And so to me, the beauty of it is that you've taken the guesswork out of things for people, that they don't have to go through what you went through for those first couple months, like trying to figure these things out. So you have got this ebook and you released it on Monday, and there's also a special bundle, right? What else is a part of the bundle with it?
So I just wanted to say that I have to thank Rachel from To Love Studio, because she's been helping me with the ebook, and she's very action oriented, and she's the one who pushed me to put all the actions and all the stuff. And I think it was a very good call, and I'm very happy I did that.
Yeah. Well, it's the Rachel fan club over here. So To Love Studio all day, every day. That woman is incredible. A lot of us owe a lot of things to her. So that's great to know. So anybody who's read Art of Light, which is Rachel's ebook, I'm sure you can expect similar quality in terms of that. So
she did help me a lot, with the ebook. So yes, it's very inspired by the Art of Light for sure.
Excellent. And so now the bundle, because for anybody who wants to check it out, I've got it linked in the description box below. I'm also going to drop it here in the chat for you guys so that you can go check it out. But what else? You've got some templates that go along with the bundle as well. Can you tell us about those?
Yes. So in the bundle, there is 3 cover letters templates, because like I said, I used to create them from scratch every time. And I thought that it was very inefficient. So I came up with a structure for a cover letter that has 4 little paragraphs, and each paragraph has a purpose. And I made those cover letters to be a focus on the client and the project instead of the freelancer, because I noticed that a lot of us start by talking about us, but that's not what the client wants to hear. He wants to hear how you are going to help him finish his project. So I created the 3 cover letters, 2 for food photography and 1 for product photography. And they're also obviously customizable. I have some little brackets where you can change so that it fits your business, and it also fits the client that you're going after. And then the other thing that I included in the bundle is my proposal template, That's something that when I was trying to figure out how to make a bigger impact on my client and how to look more professional, I looked into the work of wedding photographers. And wedding photographers are phenomenal with client experience. They have those beautifully designed proposals and brochures and welcome packet. And I thought that was so smart and so beautiful, and it looked so professional, and none of us were using those. Well, not that I knew of anyway. And so I thought, they got something going on really good there. We should do the same thing. So I created a proposal that I sent to potential clients. It includes a page about my experience, another about the services I offer, and then there's several templates for case studies, so you can put images for your portfolio, and then an about me page because they want to know who you are, and then at the end I put a pricing sheet so that when you want to send a pricing, I used to just type it in my email and it looks stupid. So now I have a nicely designed pricing sheet.
Beautiful. And so all of that is a part of the bundle then?
It is. And because I know a lot of people are not, designers, I made it in Canva, which is a free design tool that you can find online. So you don't need to have any design experience and you can sign up for free. So yeah.
I love it. That's beautiful. And so the special deal, of course, being that this is brand new. It just got released this past Monday, right? That's when you officially released it to the world. Congratulations. That's so exciting. And so this is now going to be on a special pricing until Sunday, correct?
Correct.
So you've got a special discount. So for those of you who did not check it out, you've got it linked in the description box below. I'm going to drop it here in the chat as well. But to me, this is a no-brainer. If you are struggling to find clients and you're struggling to get traction and you need that leg up to make you look more professional and just take the guesswork out of it. I mean, clearly the time and energy and expertise that Fanette invested in starting in UpWork, and I was literally just like handing you the keys to the city, that to me is just incredibly generous of you. And I'm excited for everybody to check it out. So it looks like already some folks have said, Stephen Krieger says he just bought it. So we've got a couple folks who've already jumped in. We're going to take their business to the next level. So thank you again for putting this resource out there, Fanette, because I don't think anybody's really explored this for food photography. So this is amazing. Now, before we jump into the Q&A, because I know probably everybody's chomping at the bit to do some Q&A with us here, but I always love to kind of give, again, some inspiration. And I think you did such a beautiful job earlier just explaining, we all have those self-doubts, those things that keep us from moving forward, the insecurities and all those things. But kind of outside of that, what are 3 things that you would say that somebody who's preparing themselves to like jump into this career, move forward in food photography or product photography, what are 3 things that they should make sure to know to equip themselves with in order to be successful in this industry?
So I was going to say that mindset would be the first thing, because for me it was the hardest thing. It was the first roadblock, was to believe that I was entitled to ask more money for my pictures, if that my work was worth more than the $7 that I was asking for pictures when I started.
From 7 to 7,000.
That's right. So that was the biggest part for me, was to find that confidence in myself. And I do believe that having the coach has changed that, but I do also believe that you can do that on your own, but you really need to push yourself and you need to charge more. Just do it. Nothing bad is going to happen. You just go and charge what you think is your worth. The second thing, and I'm a big believer in that, is keep learning. I'm a little bit of I'm very obsessed with courses, and I constantly buy new courses and online classes. But there's you don't even need to buy stuff. There's so many incredible educators like yourself who are putting stuff out there every week. You put great content. I learned so much from your channel, and there's many more that do that. Yeah. So just go. There's a ton of resources on the internet. There's a lot to be learned, and I think I don't know any food photographer, even the big ones. They keep learning. They're still learning. There's still something new to learn, and And that's really important. The one thing that I tend to forget is I learn so much, I sometimes don't take the time to practice. So carve yourself some time in your schedule to do some personal project and practice what you learned.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing that I already touched on that I think is really important is the client experience. What I learned from this whole journey is that the clients will remember the experience almost more than they will remember your pictures. They will remember that they were heard, that you took care of them, that you were trying to, that you were answering their questions before they had them, whatever. But I do believe that clients' experience and communication with clients is key to the success of your business.
Absolutely. 150%. I wholeheartedly agree that, and it's been said, many times before that the most successful photographers don't necessarily create the world's best images. It's really about, how you market yourself, how you present yourself, how much you value yourself, and how much you connect with those people and forge those relationships. So clearly you've done a beautiful job with that. Looks like Taylor just purchased it. Matt Stevenson's got it too. So we got some folks on UpWork. I'm so excited. Now, for those of you who have purchased it, be sure to also follow, all of you should, if you're not already, follow Fanette over on Instagram. She's at Frenchly Photography. I'm assuming that name Fanette has to do with your French roots, yes?
Correct. Yes. I played with a lot of names, but I'm very frank and I'm very French. So we thought that Frenchly was very, we made up some puns like Frenchly speaking and kind of stuff like that. So,
I love it. It's perfect. It's perfect. Well, with that, so for those of you who've purchased it, definitely make sure to, share it out on Instagram, tag her. Oh, Lee just also bought the bundle. I know it's a great price, Lee, right? She's saying that is a great price for all that information. I wholeheartedly agree. It's such a great value. So be sure to pick it up before Sunday. Although if you don't, it's still a great price after Sunday too. So you just get a little extra discount if you jump in now. But all that being said, let's go ahead and let's open it up to some Q&A. So for those of you here live, let's see how many there's 86 people here live right now. So for those of you who are here live hanging out with us, Dana just bought it. Oh, Dana's up in, well, I don't know if you're in Canada right now. I believe you probably are. And Nadia's got it as well. Sweet. I love it. I'm so excited to see what you guys do with this too, because I think that this is just something that can move people forward so much quicker. So don't talk yourself out of it, people. Charge more, be confident, fail forward. I was watching I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan. He's a controversial character, but the nuggets of truth in there of, stop worrying that if you're going to screw it up, just move forward.
I like him, but I'm not so much with the work your butt off all the time. I think
no
balance between your and your work.
Agreed. His hustle situation. Yeah, we got to keep the hustle situation in check because as creatives, we need those breaks to refuel. So
personally,
Oh, I love it. And Shauna says she bought it on day one. That is awesome. I'm sure you're enjoying it.
Mine, and she's awesome. And I know she keeps sending me some encouragements and DMs.
Good. Oh, I love it. Cool. Well, let's see. Do we have questions coming up? Oh, question. Here we go. Phone. So let's see. Joel Goldberg wants to know a question. What is your experience with self-doubt as your career has developed as a photographer? So I think kind of talking about, does that self-doubt go away at all? I'll let you start on that, Fanette. Does the self-doubt ever go away?
No, it doesn't. It gets lesser for sure. I don't cringe every time I send a proposal that has 3 digits anymore, like I used to, or 4 for that matter. But no, I still have self-doubt, especially like this morning, like jumping on YouTube Live. I'm like, oh my God, why am I to be on YouTube Live? Oh, this is great. So yeah, no, it doesn't go away.
I agree. I still get nervous too. There's certain situations where I take photos, and and, you know, I'm shooting for a client, and that can be a lot of pressure, you know, wanting to do a really great job for somebody and feeling very responsible for having been tasked with a job that they're paying you for. And there's certainly situations still where I will take photos that I'm like, I'm not 110% happy with these, but how many times were we ever 110% happy with our images anyway? So that's a whole other situation. But I'll deliver images to the client and go, oh, but they love it, you know? And so it's self-doubt that's getting in the way. They're wonderful images. They're serving the clients well. It's moving their business forward. It's serving the purpose of those images. And so I think what gets easier though, is acknowledging that the self-doubt is just a part of the equation and something you got to move through, but the presence of it, never goes away.
And I also think that when you get a little bit more professional and you do all the legwork before you actually shoot the pictures, where you know, what I was talking about before, the communication, where you make sure that you're actually shooting what the client wants. So you go through the mood boards and, you know, all that stuff that I didn't do it in the beginning. And so I was delivering images and that was not exactly what they wanted because we didn't do all the talking before. So I think that helps with the self-confidence and, you know,
Absolutely.
you know, making sure that you do all the work before so that when you deliver the images, you know that this is what they want.
A lot less flying by the seat of your pants. Let's see. Okay, looks like we got, let's see. I would like to know, for someone who is good at photos but not good at people skills, how do you market your photography? Ooh, that's a tricky one, Paul. Or no, let's see. Oh, that wasn't Paul. Paul had something else to say. That was Praful. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. What would you say, Fanette? I mean, I would think that there is so much of communications today, like if you're really not great at the people skills, that you really can leverage internet communication, such as platforms like UpWork. Because for you, Fanette, when you're using UpWork, how often are you communicating with them via phone or video conference?
I try to jump on a call with every client. I used to hate it, and it used to make me very uncomfortable, especially because English is not my native language. So I was always nervous that I was going to misunderstand something. But it just, I forced myself to doing it, and now I do it every time. And I think it's important to make that connection with the client, to hear their voice and to hear their needs. And now I do it every time, and I actually enjoy it now.
Yeah. You got to kind of push yourself. And I agree. I feel like so much because like what you said, so much of it is building those relationships and establishing that connection. And so if you're not great at that, that you can acknowledge it. It sounds like Steven's offered up some really great recommendations for some other YouTube channels that are for developing your people skills and your communication skills. And so, putting yourself in an opportunities to advance those skills. It's just like our photography. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the better at it that you get. So definitely.
UpWork has some pretty neat on the platform. You can actually directly call the clients, and they also have a screen sharing capabilities, which I've used a few times, and it's really helpful, so that you can scroll Pinterest or whatever, and they say, "Oh, this is great." So that helps a little bit with finding what the client really needs.
Yeah. Well, and I think that sets you apart too as a professional, to be that person that hops online. Cause I think a lot of people are scared to have conversations like on a video chat or on the phone. So that you take the time to do it, it's another added value to the client. So. All right. It looks like Bianca purchased it and she's kicking herself for not buying the templates. If she wants to get in touch with you, Fanette, what is the easiest way for you guys to communicate?
You can send me a DM on Instagram, or she can send me an email. I am Fanette@french.ly.
Okay, I'm going to drop that in there at french.ly.
I have to say, I didn't smoke a pack of cigarettes before I jumped on. I was getting sick, so this is why I sound like this. I apologize.
She's like a lounge singer or something. Like Ready for Fanette to. All right, let's do one more question because I want to respect your time today. Let's see. Oh, great question. Let's see. Hold on. Hold on. I'm reviewing so many questions. Lucas wants to know, how do I know it's the perfect time to jump into my food photography business as a full-time job? How do you know when it's time? I mean, I'll start with how I knew. I never really knew. I just kind of jumped, and I mean, my story, and probably some of you have watched my story. I've got it shared on YouTube, and sort of my journey into how I got into what I'm doing today. I just knew that I couldn't work in the 9-to-5 anymore. And not just because I wasn't loving it, but because the creative part of me is so strong, and that it was just emotionally, spiritually, holistically impacting my life, that I needed to move forward into something creative in order to heal myself and to be, a more whole person. And so I didn't have a plan. I didn't know I was going to be a food photographer. I just, but I leapt and I left. Now, some people say that is totally bonkers and crazy, but I mean, you've watched my videos. It's par for the course. But for me, I needed that clean break, which allowed me to have that clarity to move forward. I know there's a lot of, everybody's journey, I think, is going to be different and unique, depending on your circumstances and who you are and your situation. Like Fanette mentioned, when you were trying to make the food photography work and the product photography work, that, you had responsibilities in your life. You have small children, you have, house and family and all these other obligations. And so, that being said, though, if the only thing that's keeping you from moving forward is yourself, that's something you got to check. So I don't know. What do you say there's a certain moment that it makes it clear, Fanette?
No, I think, first of all, I think there's no perfect time, and there will never be a perfect time. There will always be something that could be better, or that one more light,
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think that you don't need to jump into full-time right away. If you want to dip your toes in it and just start as a side, as a side hustle, which is what I did for a couple of years before I had to launch my business. It's not a bad idea to just start a side business and see where it takes you, and then when you're ready, you go full time. But you don't have to go all out, quit your job and go full time. Just give it a try first.
Absolutely. Yeah. Give it a go. There's so much opportunity today. Well, thank you so much, Fanette. And thank you so much to everybody who's here. Real quick, Andrea from the Full-Time Framework course wants to say hello, Fanette. Just giving you a little shout out there. There's quite a few full-time frameworkers, and Fanette has been a part of that course with me as well, for the very first group that we're finishing up here for August. And for those of you who are in September, I'm really looking forward to it. For anybody who is interested in the business course that I do offer, which I think is a really great complement to what Fanette offers, thank you, that I'll be opening up another section for November. So if any of you are itching to, understand the impact of pricing and how to understand the ins and outs from a business perspective, and then you tack on all the great knowledge that Fanette has, how to leverage that on UpWork, and you've got a recipe for success. So thank you to everybody so much for being here today. And any questions, you know where to find us. I'll be posting this video afterwards, so if you missed the first part, you can rewatch it. But be sure to follow Fanette over on Instagram at Frenchly Photography. It's linked down in the description box below, as well as the links to the bundle, which you got to grab before Sunday. So any last words, anything you want to get off your chest, Fanette? Or are you ready to go enjoy some photography?
No, I'm just so grateful to you and all these people that have helped me get this thing out there, and I truly hope that it helps a lot of people getting their food photography business off the ground. And I've had quite a few emails from people that have questions. Feel free to DM me and ask me any questions you have, and yeah, I look forward to see what you come up with.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, everybody, take care of yourselves. There will be a new video next week, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, take care of yourselves and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Journey.
Thank you.